My family forced me to save their bankrupt hotel, but made my lazy brother CEO because he's male. And then I discovered he stole $150K from them and watched them lose everything while I built my own hotel empire. I'm 34 years old, studied hospitality management at State University, and worked 6 years at a boutique hotel in Portland. And what my parents did to me 2 years ago still makes my blood boil every time I think about it. I guess I should start at the beginning, when everything was falling apart and I, like the idiot I was, thought I could fix it. My parents had this hotel in a small town, like a family lodge with that rustic vibe. Tourists love, fireplaces in the lobby, wood decor, that kind of thing. They'd bought it like 20 years ago when tourism in the area was at its peak, but by 2022 the place was literally dying. Bookings had dropped 60%. They had terrible reviews on TripAdvisor because nothing worked right. The staff was demotivated, and basically my parents had no idea how to run a business in the 21st century. They were still doing everything on paper, didn't even have a decent online booking system, and the building was falling apart because they never invested in maintenance. My brother Zachary, who's 3 years younger than me, was still living with them and supposedly helping with the hotel, but truth is the guy spent more time playing video games than doing anything productive. In March 2023, my mom called me crying, like really desperate, telling me they were about to lose the hotel, that the bank was breathing down their necks with overdue mortgage payments, that they urgently needed help. And I, because I'm their daughter, and because at that moment I really believed my family valued me, made the stupidest decision of my life. I sold my apartment in Portland, a beautiful 2-bedroom place I'd bought just 2 years before, and that had cost me an arm and a leg. Quit my job where I was making a decent salary and had incredible benefits, and moved back to that shitty town to save the family business. My boyfriend at the time thought I was crazy. Told me, "Quinn, you're going to regret this." But I didn't listen because I had this romantic idea of saving the family legacy and all that crap. The first 8 months were literally a non-stop work hell. I got there in April, and the first thing I did was a complete audit of everything. And when I say complete, I mean I reviewed every invoice, every account, every system, every room, every process. The disaster was worse than I thought. They had contracts with suppliers who were blatantly robbing them, charging double the market price for basic things like sheets and cleaning supplies. The plumbing system was so old there were leaks in half the rooms. The staff, who'd been there for years, was so burned out and underpaid they basically did minimum effort. Patricia, the head of housekeeping who'd been at the hotel 15 years, told me the first day, "Look, Quinn, everyone here wants things to improve, but your parents don't listen to anyone. And honestly, we don't care anymore." So I rolled up my sleeves and started working like never before in my life. I implemented a new hotel management system, one of those that integrates with all online booking platforms and lets you manage everything from a tablet. I hired a web designer and completely redid the hotel's website, with professional photos, direct booking system, everything. I renegotiated all the supplier contracts, and when I say all, I mean literally every single one, saving them like 40% in monthly operating costs. I reorganized staff shifts to be more efficient and raised their pay 15% because, truth is, they were earning peanuts. I got a small loan for urgent renovations and personally supervised the remodeling of the 12 most damaged rooms, changing floors, painting, fixing bathrooms, buying new furniture at IKEA because the budget didn't allow for more, and assembling them myself with Patricia and Sarah, a front desk girl who became like my right hand. I worked like 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'd wake up at 6 inches the morning to check bookings and night reports, spent the day solving problems, training staff, coordinating repairs, answering emails, handling guest complaints, and went to sleep past midnight after doing the day's accounting. I had no social life. Obviously, my relationship ended because my ex got tired of me never having time for him, and I basically sacrificed everything for that place. But you know what? It was working. By November, bookings had gone up 80%. Online reviews went from 2.5 stars to 4.3 stars. We were generating real profits for the first time in years, and the bank stopped threatening to foreclose. I was exhausted, literally physically sick from stress and lack of sleep, but proud because I'd saved the family business. Or so I thought. In early December, my parents told me they wanted to have a meeting with all the staff, that they had an important announcement to make. I assumed, obviously, that they were going to announce they were giving me the official position of general manager or something, because up to that point I'd been working without a formal title just as their daughter helping them. I got dressed up that day, even bought a new blouse because I thought it was my moment. You know, recognition after 8 months of breaking my back. Patricia told me before the meeting, "I'm so happy for you, Quinn. You deserve it more than anyone." And I was smiling like an idiot, thinking my family was finally going to value what I'd done. The meeting was on a Friday at 3 p.m. in the hotel dining room. All the staff was there, like 20 people, and my parents up front with that uncomfortable smile they have when they're nervous. My dad started with the typical speech thanking everyone for their hard work, blah blah blah, and then said, "We want to announce that after much reflection, we've decided to appoint a new CEO for the hotel, someone we fully trust to take the business to the next level." And I'm standing there waiting for them to say my name, with my heart beating fast from excitement, when my mom says, "We're proud to announce that our son Zachary will be the new CEO of the hotel, starting January 1st. I swear I didn't hear anything they said after that. My brain literally shut down. I saw Zachary standing there next to them with a stupid smile on his face, in his wrinkled shirt and uncombed hair. The same guy who'd done nothing in 8 months while I was killing myself working. The same guy who still lived with my parents at 31 and whose greatest achievement in life was completing, I don't know how many PlayStation games. People started clapping. I guess because they didn't know what else to do. But I saw the faces of Patricia, Sarah, everyone who'd worked with me those months. And they were in shock, with that expression of, "I can't believe what I'm hearing." After the meeting, I went straight to talk to my parents in their office. I told them, "Are you fucking kidding me? I sold my apartment, left my career, worked like a slave for 8 months to save this place. And you give the position to Zachary, who's done absolutely nothing?" My dad told me, "Quinn, understand, Zachary is a man, clients and suppliers will respect him more, plus he's our son too, and deserves an opportunity. And you can keep working here as operations manager under his direction." My mom added, "It's that Zachary needs this, needs a purpose, a responsibility, and we think this will help him mature." I told them, "So this was a personal development experiment for Zachary at the cost of my life? That's the plan?" But they didn't care. Told me the decision was already made and if I didn't like it, I could leave. I left that office feeling like I'd been kicked in the stomach. Patricia found me in the parking lot. I was sitting in my car crying from pure rage, and she told me, "Quinn, this is bullshit. We all know it, but please don't leave. Without you, this place is going to go to hell again." And she was right. But at that moment, I just wanted to disappear. I spent Christmas at that hotel basically being my brother's assistant, who started making stupid changes from day one. His first brilliant decision as CEO was to eliminate the complimentary breakfast we'd implemented, which was one of the most valued points in reviews, because according to him, it was too expensive and didn't generate return. I explained to him that breakfast cost like $3 per guest, but increased direct bookings by 25%. But he didn't listen to me. Said, "I'm the CEO now, Quinn. I make the decisions." In February, things got worse. Zachary decided that Patricia, who'd been at the hotel 15 years and was the soul of the housekeeping department, was making too much money. He fired her on a Tuesday morning without prior notice, replacing her with 2 part-time girls who had no experience and who he paid minimum wage. Patricia was devastated, called me crying. And I couldn't do anything because Zachary had total authority, and my parents backed him on everything. Rooms started getting cleaned poorly. Reviews started dropping again. Guests complained that things weren't like before, but Zachary just said people were too demanding and we were fine. By March, I was at my limit. I couldn't sleep thinking about how the hotel I'd saved was being destroyed before my eyes. Sarah, the front desk girl, told me one day, "Quinn, why don't you open your own hotel? Like, I know it sounds crazy, but you have the experience. People respect you. You could do it better than this." And that idea stuck in my head. I started exploring the town on my days off, which I now had because Zachary practically didn't let me do anything important, and found this old building downtown. It had been a post office years ago, and then a warehouse. It was abandoned, but had good size, 2 floors, perfect location. The owner was selling it for $280,000, which was a steal considering the location. I don't know what happened to me, but something in me changed. I stopped crying and got angry. Like really furiously angry in a productive way. I thought, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to prove to them they don't need me as much as they think. I'm going to build something of my own and rub in their faces how wrong they were. I went to a financial advisor and explained the situation. With the money I had left from selling my apartment plus a commercial loan, I could buy the building and renovate it. It was risky, obviously, but I'd already lost so much that I felt I had nothing left to lose. In April, I bought the building. I quit my parents' hotel with a 2-line letter, basically saying, "Resignation effective immediately. Thanks for the opportunity," Zachary told me. "Seriously, Quinn? Are you so immature that you're leaving just because you didn't get your way?" And I answered him, "No, Zachary, I'm leaving because you're ungrateful and because I'm going to build something better than this. You'll see." My parents tried to convince me to stay, my mom crying, saying I was being selfish. How could I abandon our family like this? But I'd already made the decision. The next 5 months were crazy with renovations and construction. I hired a local architect who designed the space to have 18 rooms, a modern lobby with minimalist but cozy style, a small restaurant cafe, and even a terrace on the second floor. I called the hotel Elevate because that's what I was doing, elevating myself above my family's mediocrity. Patricia contacted me like 2 weeks after I'd quit, told me she'd heard about my project and if I needed a head of housekeeping, she was available. I said yes immediately, and Sarah also quit the family hotel to come with me to reception. I hired 5 more people, all with hospitality, experience, and created a work environment where people felt valued and respected. Basically everything opposite to what Zachary was doing. Elevate opened in September 2024. The opening was incredible. People from all over town came. I did a social media campaign that went locally viral, and bookings started coming from day one. I set competitive but not cheap prices because I wanted to position myself as a quality option. And it worked. Reviews started being excellent from the beginning. Guests loved the modern design, personalized service, the included gourmet breakfast prepared by a local chef. By November, I was operating at 75% occupancy, which for a new hotel is basically a miracle. Meanwhile, my parents' hotel was going down the drain. Reviews dropped to 2.8 stars. Bookings went down 50%. Zachary had implemented ridiculous policies like charging for Wi-Fi and eliminating room service after 8 p.m. to save costs. Staff was constantly quitting because he treated them like garbage, and those who stayed only did so because they needed the job. My mom sent me messages a few times asking how I was doing, trying to reconnect, but I left her on read because I didn't have energy to deal with her hypocrisy. In December, right before the holidays, my parents showed up at Elevate. They hadn't come to the opening, hadn't called to congratulate me, nothing, and suddenly there they were in my lobby asking to talk to me. I took them to my office, and my dad, with a face of being completely defeated, told me, "Quinn, we need your help. The hotel is in trouble again, worse than before, and we thought maybe you could advise us or something." My mom added, "Maybe we made a mistake. Maybe we should have considered your feelings more. But you're our daughter, and we hope you can forgive us and help us." I sat there looking at them, processing the audacity they had to come ask me for help after what they did to me, and I told them, "No, I'm not going to help you. You made your decision when you discarded me for Zachary. Now live with the consequences." And I asked them to leave my hotel. But it didn't end there. Like 2 weeks later, Sarah told me she'd heard rumors that the family hotel was in serious financial trouble, that Zachary had done something shady with the accounts. It made me curious. I'm not going to lie. So I started asking ex-employees who still had contacts there. One of the guys who worked in maintenance told me Zachary had been approving invoices from suppliers. Nobody knew that there were weird movements in the records. Since I still had access to some digital hotel files, because Zachary was so incompetent, he never changed the system passwords. I logged in one night and started reviewing. And there I found it. Zachary had been creating fake suppliers, companies that didn't exist, and making payments to himself. Invoices for deep cleaning services that never happened, repairs that never occurred, phantom consultancies. It was like $150,000 total that he'd diverted from the hotel to personal accounts during the 11 months he'd been CEO. He'd also been using the corporate credit card for personal expenses. Literally, there were charges from a local casino for thousands of dollars, from a car dealership, from electronics stores. The idiot hadn't even tried to hide it well, just assumed nobody would check because he was CEO, and my parents blindly trusted him. I printed everything, every fake invoice, every bank statement, every suspicious transaction. I made a complete folder with all the evidence organized chronologically. Then I called my parents and told them, I need to meet with you. I have important information about the hotel. Come to Elevate tomorrow at 10. They came thinking maybe I'd changed my mind about helping them. And when they arrived, I put the folder in front of them and told them, your precious son and CEO has been stealing from you. Here's the proof. Read it yourselves. My dad's face while reviewing the documents was total shock, like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. My mom turned pale and started crying, saying, no, this has to be a mistake. Zachary wouldn't do this. But the evidence was irrefutable. It was all there in black and white. I told them. Now understand why I was the best option to run the hotel. Why choosing Zachary was the stupidest decision you could make. Not just because he's incompetent, but because he's a thief. My dad tried to defend him, saying, maybe there's an explanation, maybe you misinterpreted it, but I cut him off and told him, there's no possible misinterpretation, Dad. Your son stole $150,000 from you, and if you don't take legal action against him, I'm going to report him myself because this is fraud. What happened next was a complete family disaster. My parents confronted Zachary. He first denied it, then tried to justify himself saying he deserved that money because he was working hard, that it was basically unofficial compensation. They hired a lawyer who reviewed everything and confirmed that yes, it was fraud, embezzlement, and they could sue him or report him to the police. My parents didn't want to involve the police because he's their son, obviously, so they tried to negotiate with him to return the money. But Zachary had no way to, because he'd already spent it all. Literally, all of it. On gambling, on a used BMW he bought, on who knows what else. The bank found out about the situation when my dad tried to explain why they couldn't pay the mortgage, and they froze all the hotel accounts while investigating. The family hotel temporarily closed in February of this year. They couldn't keep operating without access to their accounts, without money to pay suppliers or employees, without Zachary running it, obviously, because now he was under investigation for fraud. My parents tried to sell it, but with the whole legal situation, nobody wanted to buy it. Last I heard from them, they were living off their retirement savings. The hotel was still closed with a for sale sign nobody responds to. And Zachary was facing criminal charges, because eventually they had to involve authorities when it was discovered he'd also opened offshore accounts. Elevate, meanwhile, is thriving. We expanded the restaurant, menu. We're consistently above 80% occupancy. We won the award for Best Boutique Hotel in the region last month, and I'm already considering opening a second location in a neighboring town. Patricia is the best head of housekeeping I've ever met and is training an incredible team. Sarah was promoted to operations manager because she completely deserves it, and I finally have a business that's mine, where my decisions matter, where my work is valued. My parents wrote me like 3 weeks ago, a long email asking for forgiveness, saying I was right all along, that they were blinded by favoritism toward Zachary, that they should never have doubted me, that if there's any way to compensate me. I haven't responded. I don't know if I ever will. Part of me feels sorry for them because they lost their business and discovered their son is a criminal, but another part of me, the bigger part honestly, feels they completely deserve it. They made decisions based on favoritism and machismo instead of meritocracy, and now they're paying the price. Sometimes I think about how things would be if they'd given me the CEO position, when they should have. Probably the family hotel would still be operating successfully. I'd be proud to be part of the family business. We'd have a good relationship. But I also think maybe this was necessary, that I needed that brutal push to get out from my parents' shadow and build something of my own. Elevate wouldn't exist if they hadn't betrayed me. And I'm genuinely proud of what I've built here, of the work culture we've created, of the guests who returned specifically because they love the service. Yesterday, a guest stopped me in the lobby and told me, I just wanted to thank you personally. This hotel is magical. You can tell the love and care you put into every detail. It's very different from other places I've stayed. And that feeling of having created something special with my own hands, without my family's help, without their validation, is better than any CEO position they could have given me. I guess in the end, things worked out as they should have, even though the path was horrible. I don't know what's going to happen with the family hotel. They'll probably lose it completely when the bank forecloses. I don't know what's going to happen with Zachary, if he'll go to prison or just get probation and restitution, and honestly, I don't care anymore. I have my own path now, my own success, my own story, and that's enough.